Show of hands, who's here been to school for 2 years or longer for anything? Okay? Who here in the room is in sales? Show of hands. Who here in sales has been to sales school for 2 years or longer? Here's a question to ponder. Why do you suppose the minimum amount of time for a degree program or a school is 2 years? Let's go to school for a few minutes. A dance school. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. At the end of this talk, you'll see that we dance in every sales transaction. If you're in sales and you don't have a sales system, then you're simply just not leading the dance. In front of you, you'll see a handout labeled Project Number 2, and at the top of that handout is the letters BS Dance. Does anybody want to tell me what BS stands for? Hey, it's a family show.
Bravo Sierra.
Buyer, seller, dance is what BS stands for. And we're going to go through the 4 steps of each dance of the buyer-seller dance. We're going to begin on the right side of the page with the seller dance. And this is what the salesperson typically goes through whenever they're in a sales transaction. The first part of that dance is they do a questioning or a needs analysis. They go in, they find out what's going on, what's happening, and they will then uncover what it is they can do for that particular prospect. This is very common in the sales world. So they get a comprehensive understanding of what it is that person or company is doing so they can determine whether or not they need to do something about it. Step number 2 in the seller system is the presentation. Now that I've done my questioning and I know what that person needs or wants, I can do a presentation and show them what it is that I have to help them as it relates to my products and services. So we're matching what we found out in the questions and needs analysis with the presentation, and the prospect gets all of that information to make a decision on whether or not they want to proceed with us. The third part of the seller system is the proposal or the close. Now that I've done my questioning, I've done my presentation, I can create a proposal and I can ask for the business. And I'm now at a position where I can get business for my company. Oh yeah, there's a 4th step in the seller system. I almost forgot about that one because it's the most fun. The 4th step in the seller system is chase. Now we get to chase after the business. So that is, on average, generally speaking, what a salesperson goes through in their process whenever they're trying to sell their products or services. Okay, now let's talk about the left side of the page, or the buyer side of the dance. First step in the buyer system is they mislead. Now I'm being kind here because some people actually refer to the first step in the buyer system as lying. Okay, now I'm not judging the person. What that lie may sound like is, hey Rick, I really appreciate you coming in, or hey Patty, I've heard a lot about your company, can't wait to hear what you have to say. They're not mean people, they just may not necessarily be telling the truth. The second step in the buyer system is something we call free consulting. And what this sounds like is, I want to know everything that you've ever learned for your entire life about everything that you do, and guess how much I want to pay you for it? Nothing! That's why it's called free consulting. Step number 3 in the buyer system is lie number 2. Or mislead for those of you who are inclined to put something a little less abrasive. And what that sounds like is, hey Frank, thanks a lot for the proposal and the presentation. I really appreciate it. You know, all things being equal, apples and oranges, and we have blue skies tomorrow and green nights. We may want to do business with you. I appreciate that. Oh yes, the buyer has a fourth step too. It's called hide. Now, here's what's interesting about this dance. Do you see the cohesion between the two systems? They match up perfectly, don't they? So the question you have to ask yourself is, who's leading this dance? I believe it's the buyer. Who's leading your dance? If you don't have a sales system, then I submit to you the other person is. Good news and bad news. There's an alternative to this. I don't have time to tell you tonight what it is. That's for a future speech. Stay tuned. Mr. Toastmaster.